Hey friends, welcome back to She's At It Again. My name's Tanya, and today I want to share with you how I make chicken broth or bone broth. And the reason I'm not just calling it chicken broth is because it's actually more meat than it is chicken. And the reason I do that is because there's so much value in the bones itself and getting the minerals out of those. So the easiest way I've found through several ways of experimenting, I usually start with a whole chicken, but long story short, our favorite supermarket that carried organic whole chickens is not here any longer. And so I have less access to those organic chickens. But what I can do is go to my local Walmart and buy chicken drumsticks. So except for wings, chicken wings, which have almost no meat on them. I don't really see thrill in wings, but that's just me. But chicken drumsticks have a higher ratio of bone than they do meat in my mind. So that's what we're going to use for this. So first thing we're going to do is just open up our package of drumsticks. And try not to touch them any more than I have to, because I have to touch other things. Dump those in. Dump those in. That's easy enough. I keep the plastic containers for starting seeds in my garden, which I don't have a garden. I just have flower pots and stuff sitting around. I don't have a huge yard. I'm not a homesteader, but I can only dream of that. So you might be also asking the question, if you're not familiar with bone broth, what do you even do with it? So anytime a recipe calls for water or a little bit of wine and some water, if you'll add bone broth to it, you have not only flavor, but you also have the nutritional benefits of using the bone broth. And hopefully I'll do a video soon on how to make rice in the oven, and you just will not believe how easy that is. If you're a total failure at rice because it's too sticky or too dry, or because it scorches, or because it bubbles over on the stove, which is my big problem. They always say, put a lid on it and it won't bubble over. I'm like, are you kidding? There's no lid heavy enough to keep on that lid on that pan to keep it from bubbling over. There is foam and rice going everywhere. So when I discovered how to make baked rice, oh my goodness. And I've actually sent food to people's houses. Like if someone's sick or something like that at church, I'll send over something that requires a side dish of rice. And we have some friends I did that with, and I asked them later on, I said, is there anything else I can bring to you? Do you want some more of what I brought? And the husband actually spoke up and said, can you bring some more of that rice? We really liked the rice. So if you think that rice is just a filler and doesn't have any flavor, I'm here to tell you that's going to be your best find for 2022. Let's just say that. So since that's the year we're in, we'll hopefully make that video this year. So into your chicken drumsticks, into your slow cooker. We're going to put water in there. You can see behind me over here, over my shoulder, that I have a Berkey water filter. Let me see if we can, let me make sure that's in the shot. Yeah, in the shot. It's that big silver thing. It looks like a big coffee maker, and I'm not a coffee person, so trust me, it's not a coffee maker. So we're going to fill this up pretty close to the top and add, when I say a capful, this is maybe, I don't know, a teaspoon or two of apple cider vinegar. And this is just the one with the mother in it, but use whatever you have. And then I would say for that amount of chicken, not quite a full tablespoon of salt, and I use Himalayan pink salt, but use what you have. We're going to put the lid on it. Now notice the lack of carrots, celery, onions, things like that. I don't want that flavor in my chicken broth. I want the flavor of chicken. If I want celery and onions or stuff, I can make vegetable broth and add that to it. But for those who say it just is not chicken broth unless you have vegetables and stuff in it. That's not true. This is going to taste like chicken, not like chicken and vegetables. So I like vegetables, but when I want chicken broth or chicken bone broth, I want it to taste like chicken. So plug your slow cooker in. Remember, I have plug mold on the side of my island over here, so I have plenty of options to choose from. And we're going to turn this on high. Now, when this comes to a pretty high heat and you can see that the lid is going to start kind of jiggling around because of all the condensation and the bubbles and stuff in there, you can turn it down to low. I will probably cook this until tomorrow morning. So right now it's a little bit after 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning. So Sunday morning early, I'll get up and, well, probably, yeah, I'll say by at least 7 o'clock, I'll probably turn this off and start letting it cool down to make some soup or something like that out of. So let's see, there was something else I was going to tell you. Oh, and the other thing is, once this is cooked, we're going to take, and I'll show you the process tomorrow in the video. You'll take the meat off the bones, save the bones and the fat. You're going to put those back in your slow cooker, and we're going to do this again. We'll do this at least 3 times. Now that's just going to keep drawing the minerals out of those bones, and it's so beneficial. Once the bones have been cooked about 3 times, so this is about a 2 or 3 day process, we're going to take and put the bones and a little bit of water in the Vitamix and whir it up and make it into just like a meat slurry. I'll pour those in ice trays, and those will go into our doggies' food, because it's, again, mostly bones, not a whole lot of fat at all, and nothing sharp, no jagged edges in there. Oh, I know what else I was going to tell you. In the wintertime and in the cold weather months, I plug my crock pot in the kitchen in a plug in here. So it's going to make the kitchen nice and warm. It's going to make the house smell good. In the summertime, we're going to do just the opposite. You will never see me plugging this crock pot in the inside of my house in the summertime. It'll either go in the sunroom where I have the windows open out there, or it'll go out on the front porch if it's extremely hot and I don't even want it in the sunroom because I can't stand the heat out there. This will fight your air conditioner to the death in the summertime, and there's no reason to bring a heated item into a room that's trying to be cooled off by your air conditioner. So that being said, this is going to be good on a cold weather day to heat your kitchen up nicely, and your air conditioner is going to thank you for it. So anyway, we'll come back and we'll show you the finished product tomorrow. But for right now, we're just going to let this chicken cook low and slow. After it comes up to a good heat, we're going to turn it down on low and let it cook low and slow for about 12 hours, or 12 to 24 hours. Really, it just depends on how strong you want your broth. But I'll cook mine till early in the morning, so we'll see you back then. We started our chicken bone broth yesterday simply by putting chicken drumsticks. There were 2 packages, which was 5 drumsticks. Put those in some purified water from our Berkey, added Himalayan pink salt, and a little bit of cider vinegar. That's going to draw the minerals out of the bones into the liquid. So today, I came in this morning about around 6:30 or 7 o'clock, turned my slow cooker off, and so this has cooled down a bit. So what we're going to do now is take the drumsticks themselves out, let them cool off a bit, and I'll be making probably some chicken noodle soup later on today. Normally I take my bone broth and put it in pint jars or sometimes quart jars, but pint jars are just easier to store in the refrigerator or freezer and easier to use. A lot of times I only need 1 or 2 cups, so it's just easier to use those. But I'm telling you, bone broth keeps for a long time in the refrigerator, a long time. It gets that little layer of the fat from the chicken over it, and it acts as a seal to where the liquid doesn't deteriorate at all. So it's really nice to keep in the fridge. Just anytime you need any liquid for soups or gravies or anything like that. So we have all our drumsticks out of there. Set those aside. And I have my stock pot that I'll be cooking my chicken soup in later on in the sink, and I have this wire mesh strainer inside it. And I keep it in the sink simply because if you're like me, I'm gonna spill some no matter what. So we'll take our bone broth, pour it into the strainer. and into the pot. I think I'll use this whole pot right here in my chicken noodle soup. So the next batch that we make will be to store in jars in the fridge for other things. So what we'll do at this point, these little bits of tendons and joints from those drumsticks, put those back in there. So I'm going to take the meat off of these drumsticks, keep it in a separate container, stick it in the fridge so I can add it to my soup. I'll take the bones and the fat and everything that's left, put it back in here. Again, do the same thing that we did in our first part of the video. Add our water, more salt, a little bit of salt, not a whole lot of salt this time, because really what I wanted was the meat to be salted. I don't necessarily need the broth to be salted. So we'll put our chicken bones and all the what looks like trash back into the slow cooker, add it full of water, a little bit of salt, and another little cap full of cider vinegar. We're going to do another cycle of this, and basically after that, another day goes by. We'll cool that down, strain it off, and that's just going to be put in jars in the fridge, and we'll do it one more time. So this is one of those things you're going to spend about $10 or $12 for this little amount of meat because it's organic, but you're going to get so much benefit from this. Now, I talk about using this broth in recipes, but actually my favorite thing to do with this is when it's real cold outside, or if I'm sick, or you just feel like you need some gut healing. I mean, everybody knows every once in a while you just need a little bit of gut healing. Take a cup of this as though you're drinking tea or coffee or your favorite drink. Add a little bit of salt or whatever your favorite flavor is. Put some sage in it or something and just sip it as a hot drink. It is so filling. And to think about it, you'd think, chicken broth, seriously? I don't know, but I'm telling you, it is so filling. You would be surprised how far a cup of chicken bone broth will get you when you're just needing something quick and you don't want to take the time to sit down and eat. So anyway, it's a good thing to drink. It's a good thing to use in your recipes. Let this be one of those your go-to recipe when you have some extra time or you need your kitchen heated up by that slow cooker. Fix you some bone broth. You'll have the chicken to use for other dishes, chicken salad or whatever you want. Mine's going to go in chicken noodle soup. But anyway, that's my scoop on chicken bone broth. And once the bones are all cooked down to where it's almost like wet chalk, then again, I take them and put them in the Vitamix. I told you this earlier. Put them in my Vitamix with a little bit of water, make a slurry out of it, put it in an ice tray or something, and it goes in my dog's food just as a little boost to them. It's a really huge treat for them. You'd think I'd put in some of their just favorite candy or whatever as a person. But anyway, it's a real simple thing. I know you hear a lot of information about bone broth. It's so healing, and it might look a little complicated with the different steps, but really and truly, you're just going to keep cooking that chicken and drawing the minerals out of those bones. So anyway, thanks for joining us. Thanks for sticking with me, and I look forward to showing you something new on our next video. See ya.